I stare at my phone, the wedding dress pooling around me like spilled milk. The screen glows with the message that shatters my world. I can't walk you down the aisle. Marissa's event is too important to miss. I'll try for the reception. My father's words blur as tears flood my vision. The bridal suite spins around me, delicate champagne flutes on the vanity, my veil draped across a chair, bridesmaids frozen in various stages of preparation. The clock on the wall ticks mercilessly toward the ceremony. No, I whisper, then louder. No, no, no. With a strangled cry, I hurl my phone across the room. It hits the wall with a crack and tumbles to the carpet. My bridesmaids gasp in unison, Jessica's mascara wand suspended in midair, Tara's mouth forming a perfect O. Ari, what happened? Tara asks, taking a tentative step toward me. I can't answer, can't breathe. The room shrinks, walls closing in, my chest tightening until each heartbeat feels like a hammer against my ribs. The diamond engagement ring weighs heavy on my finger, a promise about to be fulfilled while another lies broken. The door swings open, and Melanie, our wedding planner, bustles in with her clipboard and perpetual efficiency. 3 hours until we need to line up, ladies. She stops abruptly, sensing the tension. What's going on? My father. The words scrape my throat. He's not coming. Not coming? Melanie's professional composure slips momentarily. But the ceremony, we planned everything around him walking you. Well, he's not. My voice sounds foreign to my own ears, brittle and sharp. My sister's event is apparently more important than my wedding day. The words hang in the air, their truth more painful spoken aloud. The memory rises unbidden, standing beside my mother's casket 17 years ago. My 13-year-old hand clutched in my father's as mourners filed past in a blur of black. I'll always be there for the important moments, Ari, he'd promised, his voice rough with grief. You and I, we're a team now. What a beautiful lie that had been. 9 months ago, when Ethan and I had set the date, Dad had seemed genuinely happy. We'd sat at his kitchen table, wedding magazines spread between us, and he'd placed his hand over mine. Nothing would make me prouder than walking you down the aisle, he'd said, eyes crinkling at the corners. For once, I'd believed him. The first warning sign came 3 months before the wedding, when Marissa called to announce her career celebration, scheduled for the same day. It's just bad timing, Dad had said during our Sunday dinner, pushing peas around his plate. I'm sure we can work something out. The ceremony is at 4, I'd reminded him. Her event isn't until 7. You can easily make both. The drive between venues, he'd hedged, is 45 minutes. I checked Dad. I'd reached for his hand. This is my wedding day. He'd squeezed my fingers. Of course I'll be there, sweetheart. We'll make it work. 2 weeks later, the traffic might be bad that weekend. Then, Marissa really needs family support for this promotion. Last week, I'm not sure about the timing. I'd reassured him each time, rearranged what I could, offered to send a car service, whatever it took to have my father walk me down the aisle. And now, 3 hours before I'm supposed to marry the love of my life, he sends a text. A text. We need to move forward, Melanie says, her voice gentler now. Is there someone else who could walk you down the aisle? An uncle, perhaps? Or would you prefer to walk alone? Alone. The word echoes in my head. My phone rings from where it landed on the floor. Jessica retrieves it, hands it to me wordlessly. Uncle Martin's name flashes on the screen. My father's older brother, the one who never missed a dance recital or graduation. I answer with trembling fingers. Hello? Ariana? His voice is warm, concerned. Your father just called me. I don't know what to say, sweetheart. A sob escapes before I can stop it. He's not coming, Uncle Martin. I know. The anger in his tone is barely contained, and I'm so sorry. I close my eyes, tears tracking through my carefully applied makeup. I don't know what to do. The silence stretches for only a moment before Uncle Martin clears his throat. Would you allow me the honor of walking you down the aisle? Quote. Something breaks and mends simultaneously in my chest. You'd do that? In a heartbeat. His voice breaks slightly. I'll be there in 20 minutes, Ari. Don't you worry about a thing. I end the call and look up at the circle of concerned faces around me. Something shifts inside me, a realization that maybe family isn't always who you're born to, but who shows up when it matters most. My Uncle Martin is coming, I announce, standing straighter. He'll walk me down the aisle. And somehow, despite everything, I know I'll be okay. Uncle Martin's offer settles around me like a warm blanket. I stand straighter, feeling a flicker of hope spark to life in my chest. The wedding dress rustles as my bridesmaids exhale in collective relief. He'll be here in 20 minutes, I announce, my voice steadier than before. Jessica approaches cautiously, her phone clutched in her hand, mascara wand forgotten. Ari, there's something you need to see. The hesitation in her voice makes my stomach clench. What is it? She holds out her phone, screen illuminated with a text conversation between her and my sister. Marissa sent these to me by mistake last month. I wasn't sure if I should show you, but now. I take the phone with trembling fingers, the diamond on my left hand catching the light. The texts are dated 3 weeks ago. Marissa, Dad's still wavering about the wedding. Keeps talking about making it work. Jessica, he promised Ari though, right? Marissa, don't worry. I know how to keep Dad to myself on wedding day. Already working on it. Jessica, Marissa, that's terrible. It's her wedding. Marissa, oops, wrong Jessica. Delete this. Not for bridal party, Jessica. The room tilts sideways. I sink onto the vanity stool, the screen blurring before me. I should have shown you sooner, Jessica whispers. I just couldn't believe she'd actually sabotage my wedding day. My voice sounds hollow in my own ears. I can believe it. The memory rises unbidden. 4 years ago, standing in an auditorium at MIT, scanning the crowd for my father's face as I accepted the National Computer Science Scholarship. He'd promised to be there. Had even texted that morning, confirming he was on his way. But the ceremony came and went without him. Later, he'd apologized profusely, claiming an emergency at work. It wasn't until months later that I discovered the truth through a casual comment from his assistant. Marissa had called, claiming I'd asked to reschedule his visit because I was too nervous to have him there. The pattern stretches back 17 years, to the raw days after Mom died. I was 13, devastated and adrift. Marissa, at 16, had swiftly positioned herself as the lady of the house, orchestrating family dinners, managing Dad's schedule, and systematically creating distance between him and me. She's been doing this for years, I say, more to myself than to Jessica, and he lets her. Tara wraps an arm around my shoulders. Your dad is an idiot, and your sister is worse. A knock at the door interrupts us. Melanie peeks in. Mrs. Carter is here. Ethan's mother? She's asking if she can see you. I nod, wiping hastily at my tears. Catherine Carter enters moments later, elegant in her pale blue mother of the groom dress. Her eyes widen at my tear-stained face. Oh, Ariana. She crosses the room and takes my hands in hers. Martin called me. I'm so sorry. The kindness in her voice threatens to unravel me completely. Since Ethan introduced us 2 years ago, Catherine has shown me more maternal understanding than I've experienced since my mother died. I don't understand why he'd do this. I confess, the words catching in my throat. Catherine sits beside me on the small love seat, still holding my hands. When I was 28, my father refused to attend my wedding to Gregory. He didn't approve of our interfaith marriage. Her voice carries the echo of old pain. I waited until the last minute, hoping he'd change his mind. Did he come? She shakes her head. No, and for years after, I kept hoping for his approval, rearranging holidays, making excuses for his absence at our children's birthdays. Her fingers tighten around mine. This isn't just about today, Ariana. It's about whether you'll let them keep breaking your heart for the rest of your life. The truth of her words lands like a physical weight. How many times had I rescheduled important events to accommodate Dad? How often had I swallowed disappointment when he canceled at the last minute for something Marissa deemed more important? I think of my first dinner at the Carters' home, how Gregory had pulled out my chair, how Catherine had remembered my favorite dessert from a casual mention months earlier, how their whole family had welcomed me with genuine warmth, showing me what real family support feels like. I've been chasing his approval my whole life. I whisper. And what has it gotten you? Catherine asks gently. Heartbreak. Disappointment. I straighten my shoulders, something resolute taking shape inside me. I won't let his absence ruin what should be the happiest day of my life. The clock on the wall shows we have 7 minutes until the ceremony should begin. 7 minutes to decide what kind of story today will tell. One of abandonment or of choosing happiness despite it. Martin will be here any minute, Catherine says, standing. Shall I help you fix your makeup? Before I can answer, my phone buzzes with a text from Ethan. Whatever you need today, I'm here. Even if that means waiting. I love you. Fresh tears spring to my eyes, but different ones. Tears of gratitude for the family I'm about to join, for the man who sees me clearly and loves me completely. I don't want to wait. I tell Catherine, this day isn't about who isn't here. It's about Ethan and me, and the people who chose to show up. Jessica and Tara exchange glances, relief evident on their faces. Melanie nods approvingly, already adjusting her timeline on her tablet. Have you ever had to choose between your own happiness and family expectations? I ask Catherine as she gently dabs concealer under my eyes. Many times, she replies, her smile both sad and wise. The day I stopped trying to earn my father's love was the day I truly began to live. The door opens 10 minutes later, and Uncle Martin stands there, slightly breathless in his hastily donned tuxedo, his eyes finding mine with such love that my heart swells. At that moment, I realize that family isn't determined by blood alone, but by who stands beside you when the world falls apart. I stand and smooth my dress, ready to walk toward my future rather than cling to a painful past. An hour later, after everyone got out of the room, my makeup artist was doing my makeup. My phone vibrates against the vanity as the makeup artist dabs concealer under my eyes. Robert's name flashes on the screen. I hesitate, then press the green button. Ariana. His voice crackles through the speaker. You're making this difficult for everyone by refusing to reschedule. Marissa worked hard for this promotion. My throat tightens. Dad, we set this date 9 months ago. And Marissa's event is important too. Why must you make me choose? The makeup artist pauses, brush hovering near my cheek. I didn't make you choose, I whisper, voice breaking. You did that all on your own. I end the call before he can respond, before I break down completely. The makeup artist wordlessly hands me a tissue. A soft knock interrupts the tense silence. The door swings open, and Uncle Martin stands there. In his hands, a small velvet box. I smile and nod as approval to enter, and he crosses the room in 3 long strides, enveloping me in a big hug. Look at you, he says, stepping back. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you for everything. I love you. The words feel inadequate for the gratitude swelling inside me. Nothing could have kept me away. I love you too, sweetheart. I love you. His blue eyes crinkle at the corners. I brought something for you. He opens the velvet box, revealing a strand of pearls with a delicate silver clasp. They glow with a warm luster against the black velvet. These belong to my mother, he explains. She wore them at her wedding in 1952. I've kept them safe all these years, waiting for the right moment. My fingers hover over the pearls. Uncle Martin, I couldn't. You can and you will. His voice is firm but gentle. My mother would have wanted you to have these. Your family, Ariana. Real family. Jessica appears at the door and steps forward. Let me help you put them on. As she fastens the clasp behind my neck, the door opens again. Gregory, Ethan's father, pokes his head in. Martin, I brought that boutonniere you asked for. The 2 men exchange a glance loaded with unspoken understanding. Gregory enters, patting Martin's shoulder before turning to me. Ariana, everything's ready whenever you are. Ethan's as nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. His attempt at levity brings a small smile to my face. I just need a few minutes with my niece, Martin says. Gregory nods, squeezes my hand, and leaves. My bridesmaid follows his lead, filing out until only Martin and I remain. Ariana, Uncle Martin guides me to sit. I need to tell you something. He perches beside me, hands clasped between his knees. When I graduated college, my father refused to attend the ceremony. What? Why? He wanted me to take over the family business. When I chose teaching instead, he saw it as a betrayal. Martin's gaze turns distant. I waited at that ceremony, scanning the crowd for his face. He never came. My heart aches for the young man he'd been. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Some men don't recognize what truly matters until it's too late, he continues. My father realized his mistake years later, but we'd lost so much time. I touched the pearls at my throat. Did you forgive him? Eventually, but I never forgot who showed up that day instead. My mother, wearing these pearls. His fingers brushed the necklace. She told me she was twice as proud, to make up for his absence. Melanie appears in the doorway. We need to practice the walk before guests arrive. Martin stands, offering his arm. Shall we? In the empty chapel, sunlight streams through stained glass, casting rainbow patterns across the aisle. The photographer adjusts her equipment, planning new first-look photos with Martin instead of Robert. We'll start here, Melanie demonstrates, then proceed at this pace. Martin and I take our positions. With each practice step down the aisle, something shifts between us. A bond strengthening, a silent understanding growing. His arm feels solid beneath my hand, his steps measured and sure. After the third walk-through, we pause at the altar. Tears I've been fighting all day finally spill over. What's wrong, sweetheart? Martin asks. I'm afraid, I confess, voice barely audible, that when I look back on today, all I'll remember is who wasn't here. Martin takes my hands in his. Then let's give you something beautiful to remember instead. He reaches into his pocket, withdrawing a handkerchief with the initials LMP embroidered in the corner. Your mother's? I ask, recognizing the letters. He nods. Linda Marie Parker. She gave this to me before she passed. Said someday you might need it. The simple cotton square with my mother's initials feels like a message across time. I press it to my cheek, breathing in the faint scent of lavender. Uncle Martin, I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to thank me, Ariana. His voice roughens. Family shows up. That's all there is to it. Behind us, the chapel doors open. Guests begin to arrive, murmuring quietly as they find their seats. Almost time, Melanie announces. Martin straightens his tie. I have one question before we do this. What's that? Would your mother have approved of Ethan? The question catches me off guard, but the answer comes immediately. She would have loved him. Then she's here too, Martin says simply. In these pearls, in that handkerchief, in your heart, the people who truly love us never really leave. I stand taller, feeling the weight of the pearls against my collarbone, the soft handkerchief tucked into my bodice. I'm ready, I tell him, and for the first time today, I truly am. Martin offers his arm once more. Then let's go make some memories worth keeping. As we take our position behind the closed doors, waiting for the music to begin, I realize something profound. The person who deserves to be called family isn't always the one you're related to, it's the one who shows up when it matters most. 2 hours later, we have finalized the steps, my preparation, everything. I am counting the minutes till the ceremony begins. Through the draped windows of the preparation room, I catch glimpses of guests settling into white chairs on the lawn, their summer attire a kaleidoscope against the deep green of the gardens. Someone steps in front of my view, and I turn to face Uncle Martin. Are you ready? He asks, adjusting his boutonniere with steady fingers. The question carries more weight than he knows. Am I ready to walk down the aisle without my father? Am I ready to embrace this new definition of family that's forming around me like a protective circle? I touch the pearl necklace at my throat, cool against my skin. I am. Martin stands before me in his perfectly fitted tuxedo, the fabric hugging his shoulders just right. When he arrived 2 hours ago, breathless and determined, I never expected this transformation, from crisis to something that feels strangely meant to be. Your mother would be so proud, Martin says, his voice catching slightly. And Robert, well, he's made his choice. Through the door, I hear the string quartet transition to a new piece, signaling 5 minutes until the processional begins. My bridesmaids gather their bouquets, arranging themselves in the order we practiced yesterday. Jessica squeezes my arm as she passes. You look radiant, she whispers. Nobody will be thinking about who isn't here. But I know some will. Empty chairs have their own presence. Melanie appears with her headset and clipboard. Everyone's seated. Ethan is at the altar with the officiant. She studies my face. You good? I nod, surprised to find it's not a lie. The devastation from earlier has transformed into something else, not quite peace, but resolution. The doors open, and my bridesmaids proceed one by one down the path toward the ceremony space. Then it's just Martin and me, waiting for our cue. He offers his arm. I've never been more honored than I am right now, sweetheart. His eyes shine with unshed tears. Not in my whole life. The music shifts to the wedding march, my signal. We step forward together, emerging from the shadows of the estate into brilliant sunshine. The assembled guests rise in unison, faces turning toward us. The white rose petals lining the path flutter slightly in the breeze. Each step feels momentous, each breath a conscious choice. Martin's arm is solid beneath my hand, his pace perfectly matched to mine. Halfway down the aisle, I spot Ethan. His eyes lock with mine, and tears spill freely down his cheeks. Not tears of pity, no, something else entirely. Something that looks remarkably like gratitude. Next to him, his parents beam with unmistakable pride. Catherine, who showed up this morning and helped me with makeup and hairstyle, nods encouragingly. When we reach the altar, Martin turns to face me. The familiar scent of his aftershave, the same he's worn since I was a child, wraps around me like a memory. With all the love of family, chosen and given, he says, placing my hand in Ethan's waiting palm. The celebrant steps forward, her voice carrying across the garden. Welcome, beloved friends and family. We gather today to witness the joining of Ariana and Ethan in marriage. She pauses, her gaze warm as she looks between us. I want to acknowledge the special role Martin has played today. Some bonds are forged through blood, others through choice. Both can be equally sacred. A murmur of approval ripples through the guests. From the corner of my eye, I see several of my father's relatives shift uncomfortably in their seats. Let them. This moment belongs to those who chose to be present. The ceremony unfolds like a dream. Vows exchanged, rings placed on trembling fingers, a kiss that tastes of promise and new beginnings. Throughout it all, Martin stands nearby, a sentinel of support. Later, at the reception, the DJ's voice booms across the ballroom. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Ethan Carter, escorted by their beloved Uncle Martin. We enter to thunderous applause, Martin's hand lightly at my back. The space transforms with twinkle lights and flowers, creating a canopy of stars above the dance floor. When it's time for the father-daughter dance, I feel a moment of dread, another tradition that highlights absence. But Martin steps forward, offering his hand. Just for a minute, he says, then your husband gets his turn. We sway to the opening verse of What a Wonderful World, his formal posture gradually relaxing. The tension I've carried all day begins to dissolve. Thank you, I whisper. No need for thanks among family, sweetheart, he replies. Ethan cuts in smoothly, spinning me away from Martin with practiced ease. Over his shoulder, I spot a commotion at the entrance. My father stands in the doorway, wearing a suit that doesn't quite fit right, scanning the room with anxious eyes. He came, after all, Ethan murmurs, following my gaze. Too late, I reply, surprised by the absence of anger in my voice. Just clarity. Some moments you can't get back. Robert remains at the periphery, watching as everyone celebrates without him. For the first time, I don't feel the pull to make things easier for him, to bridge the gap he created. Martin approaches him with quiet dignity, and I turn away, focusing instead on the man whose hands hold mine with such care. Are you okay? Ethan asks. I consider the question, searching for honesty. I think I am, or I will be. The music swells around us, and I choose to dance. Half an hour later, the crystalline chime of silverware against glass ripples through the reception hall. Laughter fades as guests turn toward the center of the room where Ethan stands, champagne flute raised high, his eyes finding mine across a sea of smiling faces. I feel a tap on my shoulder. Ariana. My father's voice slices through the moment. I turn slowly, steeling myself. Robert Parker stands behind me, hair slightly disheveled, tie askew, as if he's been rushing. You made it, I say, voice flat as Kansas prairie. Traffic was brutal. He gestures vaguely toward the door. I tried calling, but you weren't answering. I was getting married. The words taste sharp on my tongue. His eyes flick around the reception, taking in the elegant centerpieces, the fairy lights draped from exposed beams, the happiness radiating from every corner of the room. Everything he missed. You could have made this easier, you know. Pushed the ceremony back an hour. Made what easier, Dad? Your choice? Before he can answer, Cousin Daniel appears at my elbow. His typical easygoing manner has vanished, replaced by something harder, more determined. Sorry to interrupt, Daniel says, not sounding sorry at all. He holds his phone out. But I thought you both should see this. The screen shows a group chat with Marissa and several friends. Heading to Murphy's for drinks. Dad skipped Ari's wedding for this, so you better show up. A series of photos follows. Marissa and maybe 15 people at a bar, cocktails raised, smiling broadly. Timestamp, 4:30 p.m., halfway through my ceremony. At first she said 7 o'clock, but I guess she changed the meeting time to prevent my dad from coming. That's her career event? My voice barely rises above a whisper. Daniel swipes to another screenshot. A text from Marissa to someone named Jen. Dad will have to choose between us. I'll make sure he chooses me. The air leaves my lungs in a rush. Daniel isn't finished. She changed the dates and time of her drinks 3 times. He opens a calendar app, showing invitations with different dates, each adjustment aligning perfectly with our wedding date changes when we had venue issues last month. I look up at my father. The color drains from his face like water down a drain, leaving behind something ashen and hollow. Robert. Uncle Martin approaches, champagne in hand. I didn't know you'd made it. My father doesn't acknowledge him. His eyes remain fixed on Daniel's phone, on the evidence of his daughter's manipulation. I didn't realize. He begins, then stops. Starts again. Ariana, if I had known. You would have what? The question hangs between us like a physical thing. Shown up? Kept your promise? Been there for once in my life when it actually mattered? Heads turn. Conversations nearby halt. My father notices, straightening his posture. I want to apologize, he announces, voice carrying. Guests shift uncomfortably in their seats. Not here, I say firmly. Not now. But I need to explain. No. The word comes out stronger than I expected, carrying across the sudden quiet. You made your choice 2 weeks ago when you started looking for excuses not to come. Now I'm making mine. Something shifts in the air between us. The invisible strings that have bound me to his approval, that have kept me hoping despite years of disappointment, snap clean. I feel their absence like phantom limbs, painful but freeing. Ariana. His voice breaks on my name. Enjoy the reception, Dad. I turn away, walking steadily back to where Ethan stands with his parents, their faces a mixture of concern and pride. Catherine, my mother-in-law, squeezes my hand as I rejoin them. Are you all right? Yes, and surprisingly, I am. I really am. From the corner of my eye, I watch Uncle Martin approach my father, who stands isolated at the edge of the dance floor. Martin speaks softly, hand on Robert's elbow, gently steering him away from the center of the celebration. She deserves this day without further drama. I hear Martin say as they pass our table. You can talk tomorrow. My father's shoulders slump in resignation as Martin leads him toward the bar in the far corner. For the first time, Robert Parker looks small to me, not the towering figure whose approval I've sought for 17 years, but just a man who made poor choices and is beginning to recognize their cost. Ethan's hand finds mine under the table. You okay? I nod, feeling the weight of the day, both its sorrows and joys, settle into something bearable, even beautiful. Better than okay. The DJ announces another dance. As Ethan leads me to the floor, I catch sight of my father watching from the periphery, Martin standing guard beside him. The pain in Dad's eyes is real, but so was mine when I read his text this morning. Some wounds need air to heal properly. Some truths need to be spoken aloud before new beginnings can take root. Tomorrow will bring its own challenges. There will be difficult conversations, perhaps tentative steps toward understanding. But tonight belongs to the family I've chosen, the one that showed up when it mattered most. As Ethan pulls me close, I realize that sometimes walking away isn't an ending. Sometimes, it's the first step toward something better. A year later, the autumn sunlight streams through the bay windows of Ethan's parents' home, casting a golden glow across our anniversary celebration. I adjust the small corsage on my wrist, white roses, just like my wedding bouquet, and smooth my hand over the slight swell of my belly. To Ariana and Ethan, Catherine raises her glass, her eyes crinkling at the corners. 1 year of marriage and a lifetime of joy ahead. The small gathering clinks their glasses. I sip my sparkling cider while Ethan's arm tightens around my waist. His lips brush my ear. Happy anniversary, Mrs. Carter. Gregory unveils a photo album, and we gather around the coffee table. Thought you might like to see how much family we've packed into 1 year. The pages turn, revealing our journey: Thanksgiving dinner with all of us crowded around this same table. Christmas morning with Uncle Martin teaching Ethan how to properly carve the ham. Easter with me awkwardly showing my father where we keep the good plates. Each photo captures a moment of our expanding definition of family. Remember when Robert almost set the grill on fire during the 4th of July? Gregory chuckles. I nod, remembering how my father had shown up with a store-bought potato salad and too many apologies. The monthly dinners started small, just coffee at first, then proper meals. Each one a brick in the rebuilding of something I wasn't sure could be saved. Has Marissa called recently? Catherine asks, her tone careful. Not since she moved to Florida. I keep my voice neutral. She sent a card when we announced the pregnancy. That's something, I suppose. Uncle Martin clears his throat from the armchair by the fireplace. He's aged this past year, the lines around his eyes deeper, but his smile remains steadfast. I have something for you both. From beside his chair, he produces a package wrapped in tissue paper. My fingers tremble slightly as I unwrap it, revealing a delicate baby blanket in soft cream yarn. Alice knitted it before she passed. Martin says, his voice thick. Said it was for the next generation, whenever that might be. Seems the time has come. I trace the intricate pattern, thinking of Martin's wife I never met but whose legacy touches me still. It's beautiful, I whisper. The doorbell rings, and Ethan returns moments later with my father. Robert stands awkwardly in the doorway, clutching a weathered photo album. Sorry, I'm late, he says, his eyes finding mine. Traffic on the bridge was backed up. An old excuse that once would have twisted my heart. Today, I simply nod. We're just looking at photos. Join us? He settles on the edge of the sofa, opening his album. I found these yesterday. Thought you might want to see them. Inside are photos I've never seen my mother pregnant with me, her hand resting on her belly just as mine does now. I'm sorry I wasn't there when it mattered most, he says quietly. I can't change the past, but I'd like to be here for your future, for my granddaughter's future. I don't promise immediate forgiveness, but I take his hand, one day at a time. Later, as we gather for a group photo, I find myself between worlds, Ethan's steady presence on one side, Uncle Martin's gentle guidance on the other, my father hesitantly joining our circle. I place my hand on my growing belly, feeling the slight flutter that might be a kick or might be my imagination. Our daughter will know what real family loyalty means. I tell Ethan as Catherine adjusts the camera timer. The shutter clicks, capturing this moment of redefined family, some bound by blood, others by choice, all connected by the promises we choose to keep. I've learned that family isn't just about who raised you. It's about who shows up when it matters most. And sometimes, if you're lucky, it's about who gets a second chance to show up right.